So welcome back. Now I want to talk about focus and the Reticular Activating System, also known as the RAS. In LOA, it says you get what you focus on. And in psychology, it says, yes, that is true. The focusing mechanism of your brain is called the Reticular Activating System. Again, it's called the RAS. So there are millions of bits of information going on around you at all times. If you were to be aware of it all, what would happen? What would happen to you if you're aware of all the millions of bits of information happening? Well, you'd probably go crazy. In fact, you wouldn't be able to function because it would be so overwhelming. It's like a computer. When you have a lot of things running at the same time, it might start lagging and even freeze. Therefore, your mind tries to be efficient. The role of the RAS is to selectively focus on only the inputs that are important and relevant to you. The way you know it knows what data is important is either A, it requires for your survival, or B, it's a match for what your unconscious mind, both your belief system and expectations, tell it it's important. So for example, have you ever had the name of something you wanted to say, but could not get it out? It could be the name of a movie or something like that. And then several hours later, you're taking a shower, and then suddenly it comes to you out of nowhere, 3 hours later, out of nowhere, the name of the movie or the name of whatever comes to you. Why does that happen? It happens because you gave your mind a command. And even though you weren't aware of it, your mind is still looking for that information. Your mind is looking for ways to extract that command that you gave it to because you had told it to look for that information. And that's really the power of the unconscious mind, that regardless if you're distracted or doing other things, your mind is still working on those commands that you gave it to, is looking to create that reality or to find that information, even though you're no longer trying to find that information consciously. So another example might be, let's say you buy a type of car and you're thinking about it unconsciously. So you're going to see it everywhere. You start driving and you're like, oh my God, that's the same car I just bought, or that's the same car. Or you bought new sneakers or whatever it can be. It starts going everywhere. Why? Because your mind is focused on that thing because it's something that you've put relevance, you put importance to it. So I'll give you another example. If you're thinking about how to get a new contract for your photography business, your ears will pick up conversation, and maybe in adjacent aisle in a store where someone is talking about their upcoming wedding. And you might say, what are you talking about? Well, I'm using that example because that is what happened to me. When I opened up a photography company, when I got my first contract, it was because my brain was looking for that. I was looking for that situation. I heard a conversation of somebody saying that they need a photographer because my brain was looking for that. Even though that conversation had nothing to do with me, that conversation was happening a little farther from me. There were many conversations around me, but my mind focused on that because I gave it the command that that's what I wanted to do. So when you give your mind a command of something that you want, your mind is going to look all over the place to help you achieve those things. Even something basic. For example, you're in an airport and there are things being called out throughout the speaker and there's a lot of noise. However, you probably won't even notice any of it unless they call your name or the flight, because in your mind, those statements are a priority to you. So ask yourself, why does everything always go wrong for me? If you said that to yourself, what would happen? Because if you say that, I wonder why everything always goes wrong for me, you might be at the grocery store and you'll find yourself feeling irritated when you notice that your line is too slow because of trouble at the register, while you fail to notice maybe the other things happening in front of you. Maybe acts of kindness taking place behind you, or something else that might be appropriate, or opportunities that you might have. In fact, I remember one time when I was a contractor looking for different contracts in the community, I was at one of the stores and there was a person behind me and he was a little intoxicated, was pretty dressed out and stuff like that. And maybe from other people, it was just annoying that he was there and he was talking, he was a little, and then I started talking to him, and what happened? I actually ended up developing a relationship because I saw the opportunity, even though consciously I might not have seen it. It happened that he was one of the head people in one of the county offices, and I was able to get contracts and things like that for speaking, for other things, just because I made that connection. Because my brain saw opportunity for some reason that I didn't see consciously, but unconsciously. So your mind will look for the things that you tell it to look for. If you're thinking negative, your mind will look for negative things. So think about this. What if you stub your foot in the morning? You might have started your day wrong. You might say, oh, this is going to be a bad day. So what do you think is going to happen? You're going to have a bad day because you gave your mind a command. Remember that your mind is a command center. So it's constantly looking to create what you think life should be. This is why your statements, your belief systems, and even what you visualize is so powerful at a psychological level. And what you can say is part of the law of attraction and power of your thoughts. In fact, when I used to be a college professor, I had many students that would say things like, I'm just a bad test taker. And what would happen when they got into the test? Even though they studied this whole long process, they would fail because they already told their mind that they're a bad test taker. So what would the mind do? The mind says, you have to be a bad test taker, so you have to forget this information. And that's what would happen. That happened to me for a very long time. And so I started to change my affirmations, started to tell myself. And actually what I would do is that I would write on the board, happy test day, every day, even if we didn't have a test. And I would reinforce the fact that it's a happy thing. It's actually a positive thing, the test. And I would change it up, not just happy test day. I would change it up for different words. Happy joy. Today's a joyous day because it's a test day. And I would put different things and be silly about it. But I would constantly change that to change the way that they saw tests. And most of my students, by the middle of the semester, would tell me how they're doing much better in tests. Just with that simple action, because they were visualizing, seeing something different, and I would tell them to say different statements of what their potential was. So again, if your mind is a tool, use it as a tool and use your reticular activating system. Use that part of your brain that's very goal-orientated. Because again, we've used it in so many different aspects of our lives to change our focus. I've had so many different opportunities, whether it's opportunities to grow in my personal development, opportunities to grow in our relationship, opportunity to grow in my business and things like that, just by me changing my thought process and then all of a sudden being able to see those opportunities because my mind is in the right frame of state to be able to see those opportunities when they're there. I hope that helps, and I hope that you use the power of your RAS to transform your life. Thank you.